Hello, and this is how I would tackle unseen poetry. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to my good friend, ARTSWAR, beautifully stolen from another colleague, but this is the holy grail when it comes to tackling unseen poetry. You stick with ARTSWAR, you can't go wrong. And what is ARTSWAR? So, first of all, we say what the poem is about, and the poem is going to operate on both a literal and a metaphorical level. So, what's it literally about? What's it metaphorically about? We then want to talk about the reader's reaction to the message. Every poem written ever is the writer or the poet's message to us. So, what is that message? What is it telling us? Now, those two things serve as my introduction. That's the first thing that goes into my essay and the first thing I should be putting in my annotations around my poem. And then I'm going to leave a little space and I'm now going to go on to the proper meat and bones of my analysis. And I'm going to start off with a technique, make it easy for yourself, find a nice piece of figurative language. Figurative language is the easiest way of getting into those top marks, because once you've got some figurative language, you can talk about the image behind it and then what's the effect of it, and that gives us great opportunities to layer up different interpretations and discuss the different images that may be presented. I would then go S for structure. So find a structural choice, what's the effect, and link it back. And I've got a little cheat trick strategy for that in a moment. The reason why the order is so important is because you've now got at least half marks. If you do not mention either what it's about in the message, or a technique, or a structure, then the examiner can crucify you. So now, even if you run out of time, I've given the examiner everything they need to give me a really sound mark. W is for words, so find a word, what's the connotations, what's the effect, and link it back. A is for alliteration, so find some alliteration, watch the sound and link it back. And then rhyme and rhythm, so find a rhythm or rhyme choice, what's the effect, and link it back. If I stick to ARTSWAR, I cannot possibly go wrong in this question, and I create a very sound, very concise, very specific and very effective response to an unseen poem. So let's walk through an example. So I've got a poem here called The Eagle, 6 lines long, 2 stanzas each. And my question here is about how does the writer present the theme of power? So if I read it, I'm thinking on 2 levels. What is this poem literally about? And then what is it a metaphor for? Well, it's literally about an eagle flying over the sea and then he falls at the end. Metaphorically, that will reflect how temporary our power is and how we can lose it at any moment. Once I've established what it's about, I'm going to go to my reader's reaction, and this is what's the writer telling us about the topic. So this writer is telling us that it doesn't matter how powerful you think you are, eventually and inevitably we will all fall. So that serves as my introduction. I've said in my introduction now what the poem is about, literally, what it's about metaphorically, and then I've said what the writer's message is through it. Now I'm going to get to my analysis, and now this is where, exactly the same as in my language essays, I'm going to do my focus effect link, and I'm basically saying how the writer has used methods now to present that attitude and present that point of view. So first of all, technique, find yourself some figurative language and what's the effect of it. So I've gone for like a thunderbolt. Focus effect link, so this is a simile, focusing on the simile. What's the effect? Thunderbolts create an image of unpredictability, link it back. Danger, showing you don't know when you're going to fall, and when you do, you can have painful and devastating consequences. Bish, bash, bosh. Then go to structure. Structure is the easiest way of analysing structure is when you look at the stanzas. Stanzas is a fancy word for a verse, and when you look at them, are they long, are they short, are they regular, or are they inconsistent? Are they clearly marked with end stops? As you can see, this one here has got end stops, it's got an end stop at the end, a full stop. Or is there no end stop and it becomes quite erratic and unpredictable and moves on very quickly? So in terms of my analysis on this one, I've got this one is being, the standards here are very consistent, they're tightly controlled, they're 3 lines, end stop, end stop. That reflects the control we think we have over our life, but our desire to have consistent normality in all we have power over. But the fact those standards are so short reflects how short-lived this can be. Can you see how I've taken those different features of the structure, how it's consistent, how it's tightly controlled, and how there are short stanzas? And from those colours there, you can see how from each one, I've layered up different interpretations for the effect of the structure. Next up, we're on solid ground. So after a slightly tricky structure, we're on word. we all know how to find a word and we know how to find the connotations of it. So wrinkled connotes the weakness and fragility, therefore that demonstrates the eagle's arrogance and our arrogance and false belief in our own power. We look down and criticise others that are not as strong as our perception of ourselves, which obviously then accentuates the pain of this eagle then falling and collapsing in a humiliating fashion. So words should be nice and straightforward for you. Okay, now on to our final two. Alliteration again should be nice and straightforward. Alliteration, there'll always be alliteration in the poem. I've gone for class the crab with crooked hands, and again focus, effect, link. So the focus on this is how harsh alliteration is. The effect, it reflects the brutality and harshness of the world. Link it back, showing that's why we desire such control and power over the world around us. And finally, and I think easily the trickiest one, is the rhythm and rhyme. And now this is easy if you get your head around two words, and they're over here. So first of all, enjambment. Enjambment is a fancy French word which basically means no punctuation in a line. If there's enjambment, it's going to be quick, it's going to be a bit chaotic, it's going to be quite, it's going to go very, very smoothly, very quickly. Or there'll be caesuras. Caesuras is a fancy word for any punctuation in any line in poetry. So just like my English language GCSE, if I'm using heavy caesuras, I'm making it slow, making it disjointed, making it difficult to read. And then finally on the rhyme, is there consistent rhyme? Is it occasional? What's it like? So when I look at these three things here, I've got the fact that they've got a strong rhyme, got consistent rhyme in triplets, hand, land, stand. So the fact we've got great control and power over the rhyme reflects the great power we desire. And we've also got consistent caesura use. There's no enjambment, so I'm not talking about that. And the fact there's so many clear caesuras slows down the place, and that reflects the eagle pausing for admiration of his great power and control. And it really is as simple as that. I would strongly recommend in a 45-minute response to this question, you spend the first 15 minutes reading the poem and properly annotating it, properly ARTSWARing it, so you've got all your ideas down. Then spend the last half an hour just taking your notes and putting them into a response. The same goes in terms of what a top response looks like here. A top student, it sounds like they're discussing with themselves, they layer up different ideas and interpretations, and they are really tight and accurate with their focus, effect, link, make sure everything comes back to the topic.